2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's the deal, Panthers fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. I'm here with my man, Cody Lashney. Football is here, brother. 24 hours away.
Tony, I'm pumped, man. Preseason football starts tomorrow. We get to see the Carolina Panthers play. We get to see some people trying to make the team, trying to be a part of the special season that we're about to have in 2019. I can feel it. I know Trill One feels it. I know everyone in the chat feels it. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's roll, brother.
32 days till the Panthers season opener. Less than 24 hours away till the preseason for the Carolina kicks off against the Chicago Bears. We're going to be breaking it all down tonight with our preseason primer. Kind of surprised impromptu episode. Was supposed to be traveling with my family. Was called back because my wife's grandfather passed away. Rest in peace. And we're dealing with a lot of that here at home. But still, we were going to do an episode, and now we get to do it right before the game, Cody. And,
yes,
you know, there's not a lot to the preseason in some aspects, and then there's a lot in other aspects. We're going to be looking at all of those storylines from the defense to the running backs to the offensive line tonight. We'll even look over at the Bears a little bit. So while you're here hanging out with us, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the podcast. Call into the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Help us continue to grow Panther Nation one fan at a time together in creating this community. And that's it. Let's go ahead and jump into it. For me, Cody, the number one, I was trying to think of storylines as we head into the first preseason game and what we want to see. And the first thing that stuck out to me as I was looking at the Bears roster is thank goodness we play them in week 1 or preseason game 1, not preseason game 3 where we have to play a lot of their starters. And hopefully they're not anywhere on our schedule. I'm going to go. Are they on our schedule at all this season? I hope not.
They are not. They are
Jesus.
thankfully not.
Their defense is loaded, my friend, loaded. And
hopefully we won't be seeing a lot of those guys like Khalil Mack or Danny Trevathan, all the way to your boy. Who's the boy that plays center for them? That everybody that is just amazing. His name is, hold on.
The center for the
Not
Bears?
Center, safety. I don't know. Eddie Jackson.
Yeah, Eddie Jackson is a bad mofo. He's probably the best. He's probably the best safety in the NFL, and I know that's saying something. because there are some damn good ones, but Eddie Jackson, that man is a terror.
Their starting defense sounds a little like this: Akeem Hicks, Eddie Goldman, Bilal Nichols, Khalil Mack, Danny Trevathan, Roquan Smith, Leonard Floyd, Kyle Fuller, Clinton Dix, Eddie Jackson, and Prince Amukamara. Boy, they are loaded. I would say this is that just on paper, those guys with that defense alone should make the playoffs.
Yeah, they really should. They have a nasty defense, and defense is still how you win championships. I tell you what, though, we have a pretty nasty defense, too, that we're going to be able to line up on the field. The Panthers released their depth chart. We've kind of gotten a look at it, the initial primer of who is winning at what different position. And I don't know. They have a good defense, but I really do like what we're capable of doing on defense, too. I think that I can put up our roster against any other team in the NFL right now. I don't see a big skill differential, or that one team is a lot younger or a lot older than us. Unlike last year when Joe was telling us that the defense looked old, it doesn't feel like that this year. It feels like we have the right amount of young talent and still in their prime veterans to really beat some ass and get after the quarterback this year. So I'm pumped for it.
I am. That's the number one thing on my list to talk about is as we're going into this preseason game, what are we going to see from our defense? We're going to be talking about that. Just before we get into that, the Panthers will kick off tomorrow at 8 o'clock in Chicago, but there will be no Cam Newton or Luke Kuechly playing. And I got to tell you this, Cody, is I have no problem with that. Great decision by the coaching staff, but I would like to add some names to this list. Go ahead and check Christian McCaffrey on this list for me. Go ahead and put Eric Reed on this list for me. Go ahead and put Greg Olsen on this list for me. Gerald McCoy, Curtis Samuel. I don't want to see any of those guys playing. I need to see them healthy all season long.
Yeah, especially when you have freak accidents happen in training camp happen and during the preseason. It feels even more terrible when something happens during the preseason and it's before football even starts. It sucks, but at the same time, the game isn't going to play itself, and you got to make sure that your guys are ready to go and that you know that you have the right kind of depth at certain positions on your football team. And you don't do that without knowing what you have in practice in these preseason games. They're important. And I know later on, you and I are going to talk about some of the guys that we hope to step up and what we're hoping to see from players that are kind of on the bubble on our team right now. But there are some guys right now that are playing with the Panthers that they're just hoping to have a job in the NFL. So even if they don't impress the Panthers enough, they're hoping that some other team might pick them up. This is the time of football players fighting for their life.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I want Vernon Butler and Kyle, and these Brian Cox Jr. and all those guys playing the whole game. This is Trill One in the YouTube chat says this could be the NFC Championship preview, and really, this could be. You're talking about a team in the Bears, and while Cody, I agree that our defense is ready to be a great defense. It could be. There's some things that need to work together. We need to see some things come together. We need to avoid injury. But I do think this is that the Bears is that they probably have the most defensive talent in the entire NFL on one roster. When you look at that, is that Khalil Mack is – if we had Khalil Mack on our team, then maybe we could say something, But that is a big – we've got Luke Kuechly. They've got Khalil Mack. They've got the best safety. We've got Eric Reed. They're young too, so – you don't want to – hopefully we'll see two teams that match up well against each other tomorrow. But, these are the types of teams, too, that could win in January and February because defense in the playoffs, you need a defense in the playoffs. You cannot just hope that your offense on whatever team is just going to steamroll people entirely. You want to have that. You need to have both. But teams don't win with no defenses in the NFL.
No, in fact, defenses win championships. I mean, they say that because it's true. So you have to have a formidable defense in order to be able to go the distance. I mean, the Patriots and the Rams last year in the Super Bowl had a high-powered offense, and look what that Super Bowl ended up being. It was a defensive showdown. So
same with the Chiefs. Think about this: Chiefs. Look at that offense and how far they get, and how fantastic they were.
Yeah,
and they had trouble. You need a balanced team. I'm not saying that you can win without an offense. You know, I don't like the idea of trying to win like the Baltimore Ravens used to. But, boy, you got to be able to punch some dudes in the mouth in the playoffs. Both of these teams look like they have the talent defensively to do that. So let's go ahead and talk about our number one, or our storyline. For me, the thing that I want to see, Cody, is the defensive alignment scheme and how they're rotating in some of these newer players and what it looks like. You know, you got now we're shifting to a 3-4 defense. The first thing I just want to see is how are they picking it up? How comfortable does the defense look entirely with it? And then you can drill down into that and really start talking about some players and positions on that defense. I think we're going to be able to that's going to be the most intriguing part for me, because there will be a lot of information to take in.
A lot of information to take in. And, you know, when it comes to our defensive line, you know, you were talking about the Bears and how they're loaded at different position groups. And I really do think that we've done such a good job at bringing in the type of talent that is already used to what we're trying to do. I mean, Gerald McCoy is a 3-tech, and even though he's that's listed as a defensive end in a 3-4. So he's not doing anything different. It's the same thing for K1 Short. Don Taripo has experience playing the 0 and the 1 technique nose tackle. Now you have guys like
we won't see a lot of those guys too either.
No, but I just mean from a formation standpoint.
Right.
I think that all
Still
of our starters on defense, there are some integral pieces in place that know what a 3-4 is like. They know how to get after the quarterback, and that they're used to it. I think Bruce Irvin is a name that's going to prove to be pivotal for our team this year. I really do think that he's going to be that third down pass rusher. Him and Mario Addison, that's going to be big time for us. And then having those 3 big boys in the middle. I mean, is there any doubt in your mind that Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson can't man the middle all by themselves?
No,
I think
but tomorrow night, what we will see without Luke is we're going to see Shaq have to play at some. I mean, he's going to have to play some. He's going to have to play a larger role. But I think too, what we'll also see is that there is a ton of questions at the linebacker position. When I say linebacker position, I know that we've got all these outside linebackers, but I look at Brian Burns. That's not the guy I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guy from Maryland who made, Thomas Davis has moved on. You don't have Mayo anymore. Who are these guys that potentially could play reps and play time in the event that we need them to play and contribute, right? And it will happen at some point. At some point, no player makes it throughout the season without missing a play, right? So you're going to need these guys. I think that they're going to get a lot of time with no Luke in there to really prove that they are enough. There's enough horses in the stable for this team going forward.
Yeah, and like I said, seeing the depth at certain positions, we don't have a lot of depth at the linebacker position. We're still waiting to see from Jermaine Carter, who we've drafted.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. There's a bunch of guys that really still have to prove that they're going to be able to be more than just special teams contributors on the football team. And those are the guys that are on the bubble.
Yeah. So I think you'll be looking there at linebacker. I think the one that we were talking about before the show that is probably most important to really try to find an answer going forward is we don't have an answer at nickel corner. We know that in the way any of our schemes work, whether it be a 4-3 or a 3-4, that you're going to be heavy in the nickel a lot of times. A lot of times you're going to want to trot out their 5 defensive backs and that nickel when they're in a passing formation. So do we have the guys to do it? And we have not had a real answer at there for a long time, going back to Leonard Johnson, I think was his name, that stepped in and played a role for us in 2015. But right now there was some thoughts that Golden may be in the running. He's been dealing with injury. Doesn't seem like the team's too high on him, period. So what are we looking at the nickel corner position? Is it Ross Cockrell? Is it do we have to shift some parts around? Who do you got, Cody? I know you got your eyes out looking out.
I definitely do, and this is why I love this time of year, man, because every once in a blue moon you hear about these Cinderella stories of a player that, kind of went under the radar. You didn't even know they were a part of the team, and all of a sudden they're stepping up in a big way. So I'm kind of reminded of like a Demir Bird, injuries kind of sideswiped him, but Demir Bird was, someone that we all had a lot of hope for, and everyone remembers the butt touchdown in the end zone. It's important, and it appears as though we have a similar situation going on at nickel corner. Before the season, we signed a guy by the name of Javian Elliott, and my man has been absolutely balling out. If you're watching on YouTube, here's a pass that Cam Newton, just zooms it into the sideline. He's going to Jarius Wright, and Javian Elliott is in tight coverage, knocks the ball away. He's been out on the field flying around. There's a bunch of clips of him out there really making big plays. And apparently it's not just Twitter that has caught on to this, because it recently made its way to WFNZ, and this is what some of them had to say.
I will tell you something that's really interesting, and obviously I'm not the only person who's noticed this. Javian Elliott, if you're a Panthers fan, and this guy, you probably never heard of his name a week ago. This guy is, now that he's figuring out what they want him to do, he showed up here from Tampa with real nickelback skills. And I will assure you, because there is no conversation, Ron Rivera could talk about the weather report for the next week, and in the second sentence it would say, by the way, we don't know what we're doing at nickelback. This guy, he had an exceptional practice Sunday. He validated that by picking off Cam at the goal line today. I thought Ron put it really well. They knew that they were getting somebody who had been discarded by a new coaching regime with the Bucs, and they knew that he had serious experience in nickel situations. I think he is by far the most likely solution to that very important problem.
So
Go ahead.
It's just something. There'll be plenty of opportunity for these guys to battle it out. Corn Elder and this, but it's nice to see somebody coming from former Florida State guy has got NFL experience. I think the Rick Bonnell had made an important point there, is that sometimes changes on the other team dictate how things go forward, and maybe they threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, and so this is. I'll try and see if I still have any clips of it. But last year, he actually picked off Cam Newton when we went to Tampa Bay. Javian Elliott had an interception on Cam. So this is a guy that has experience. He's played real meaningful game time before, and he's been lights out at practice. And he might just end up to be another reason why we're feeling the Hearn. A signing that went under the radar that comes in and is really, going to step up in a big way, and hopefully it's a happy little accident for us. Scott Thomas says Golden in the big nickel, and I think that might have been the plan, but I got to be honest, man,
I'm
from
so
everything
tired
that
of the big nickel crap. We heard that mess with, remember we heard that with Shaq? Buffalo nickel.
Listen, I understand that a nickel is supposed to be a corner, safety, and a linebacker all at the same time. But listen, if you're a defensive back on my football field, I just want you to be able to cover. I want you to be able to man up a slot receiver and really defend that interior where the Patriots love to shred you, where they love to use the Julian Edelman types to gash your defense. I want my nickel corner to be able to stop those guys. So, I think that Golden isn't fast enough. He hasn't really shown that he has the fluidity of his hips or the speed necessary to be able to man that position full time. Outside of Elliott, right now it's easily the most barren position on our football team.
I've been trying to hold off criticism on Golden. You know, you try to be optimistic with younger players. You don't get a large sample set, but he has not. There's just not been anything good to go off of. Now that you and really giant news broke the day after we got done with our show last week. Trey Boston signed with the Carolina Panthers to prove that, you know, that obviously
we got to talk about this.
Yeah, they were not confident in Golden's performance at free safety. You hear that he's now dealing with injury. You hear other guys stepping into positions that you thought might be alternate positions. There's just not a lot of evidence right now that Golden is doing anything to ingratiate himself with this team, or that you know, it's just not clicking at this point. So in what was a very big move for the Carolina Panthers, one that surprisingly that Trey Boston was still out of work, signs with the Carolina Panthers, 1 year, $3 million. Marty Hurney, another feather in Marty Hurney's cap. What I love about this move is as soon as look, I was hard on Trey Boston when he played for us because he was not the best tackler. There was just a couple of times where he just whiffed and they went for big plays, keep the guy in front of you. But he was a rookie and a second-year player when he was with our team. We thrust him in, and we put a lot on his plate. We didn't have necessarily a ton of parts around him. So he goes and has a great year with the Chargers 2 years ago, makes a Pro Bowl, was one of the better players on a defense on a bad Arizona team. Trey Boston, though, we signed him for pennies, and people immediately came out and said, like, well, look, he wasn't that great when he was with us with the Panthers. Maybe not, and you know what? Maybe he's not like this, like a fantastic player, but what you have seen is what we had on the roster was not good enough, and I'm finally happy that the Panthers just recognize that, hey, we got to do something. If we don't, it would be like a transgression on our part. So Trey Boston added to the team immediately rounds out the defense, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, we were playing Ross Cockrell, giving him snaps at free safety. And this is a guy that's never really played there before. I mean, he's been a good cornerback, but I mean, this is a guy that he's playing outside of position, and now you're hoping that he's going to end up starting there. It doesn't make sense. And then, and then you and I were talking about some, players like Juan Thornhill, who the Chiefs drafted, that I really liked. And so, I mean, it was a glaring hole on our defense. And I'll say this about Trey Boston, because I've been tough on him too for his lack of surefire tackling technique. And in my opinion, I think he was always better suited to play free safety. And we played Trey Boston pretty much at the position that we're playing Eric Reed at now, and that's that strong box safety kind of football player. And I just don't think Trey is physical enough in that position. But as all the three says, he's a ball hawk, though. And over the last 2 seasons, he has like 8 or 9 interceptions. I mean, Trey Boston has been balling out, and he's done a good job making a name for himself. So I love the signing because it kind of signals to me, listen, put Trey in the backfield, let him make a play on the football, let him go and get interceptions and snag the football away, rebuild that Thieves Avenue mantra here in our defensive backfield in Carolina. And I think it's the perfect signing, to be honest with you. He's been on our team before, so he already has that chemistry with the locker room. Listen, dare I say that Trey Boston and Eric Reed might be the best safety tandem that we've ever had at one point in time, no? I mean, can you think of a better I'm talking – I mean, there might have been one safety that's been a better safety for Carolina, but I mean both of them in tandem at the same time. I mean, that's a pretty dynamic duo, if you're asking.
Yeah, he had 9 passes defended last year. He had a forced fumble. He had 3 picks. That was on a terrible Arizona team. He played in 2017. He made a Pro Bowl with 5 interceptions. He also had 8 pass breakups in that year. So here's the thing. What I love about this move is that, look, you got people in the chat room saying, hey, you can consider it was, I think it was Underground West, or someone said, maybe we should, it was Scott Thomas, said, man, we actually should consider giving Hurney an 1-year extension because he's done such good work. Is you cannot fault the moves the Panthers have made. They make so much sense. And what would have made less sense going forward is to know you have a potential weakness, a weakness already on your team, and it would take so much for it to work out in your favor to go ahead and address that before it becomes a long-term problem. I think that this is a great match and a great fit. So that's one thing. That's news that broke. Also, there's one other storyline, and I want to get back to the preseason, but I guess this would be the time to put it out there more than anything, is Ryan Khalil signed with the New York Jets. Out of retirement, signed with a one-year, $8.4 million deal. Look, when somebody backs up the Brinks truck, why not? Go for it, Ryan Khalil. We could not pay you $8.4 million. Even though you'd probably that market would be it's a fair price in many ways, but the Panthers really needed to go forward and kind of move forward and commit to protecting Cam. That leads me to my second kind of discussion. I'll let you comment on Khalil, but then we'll transfer over to the Carolina Panthers offensive line, because that's another thing to watch tomorrow in this preseason game.
Yeah. So listen, man. I'm of the same mindset with Ryan Khalil that I am with Thomas Davis. If you played that long in the NFL, you get to go out on your own terms. You get to do it your way. If you decide that you're not done playing, you have to live with yourself. You have to be able to wake up every morning and say that you gave it your all. And Ryan Khalil felt like he had some left. I think it's also being underplayed how important it was to him being a USC guy, that Sam Darnold is the quarterback for the Jets. They know each other well. There's a USC connection there. The real USC in California, not the one in Carolina. That's South Carolina. That's the fake USC, just so you know. But shout out to Ryan, man. He was not very impressive last season. If I'm being honest, I believe that a lot of the problems from our offensive line came from the fact that the interior of the pocket just kept on collapsing on Cam Newton, and Ryan Khalil was getting pushed back right into Cam's lap. He just doesn't have that ability to anchor anymore like he did in, say, 2014 and 15. It's just not really there anymore. But, like I said, I feel the same way about him and Thomas Davis. They're lifelong Panthers. Blood, sweat, and tears is what they were given for the team. So I wish them all the best, and there's definitely no ill will. Get paid.
Not at all. Is that I think it's actually the best. It's a good fit, right? It's a good exit for us. We left on mutually good terms with him. It's better than us trying to squeeze one more year out of him, and he either charging us what he probably deserves as a starting center, or us kind of lowballing it just because he's been with the organization, and then us being upset later on. When I went and guessed it on Play Like a Jet podcast, and they were asking me about this, and I think for me I think you're entirely right, Cody, and I haven't been able to figure out if it's strength, athleticism, or speed that's declining for Khalil, but clearly his best days are behind him. But for me, is that he tended to get overpowered at times. And, is he coming off the ball as quick? And I told them, I said, look, if you need him to be a dominant Pro Bowl center, then you're going to be disappointed. But if you need Khalil to be, an asset to adding to an offensive line that may have some guys beside him, that has a young quarterback that can be helped in knowing and understanding the game and taking some of that responsibility, that's a good thing. And I see the benefits for the Jets, who have had perennial problems since they at center. But I also see this is that it would not have been good for the Panthers to keep him for another year. And let's turn to that as we talk about the offensive line going to Chicago to play some monsters on the defense that hopefully they won't have to play a lot. All eyes from us are going to be on the offensive line. Darrell Williams slated to start at left tackle. Matt Paradis, how much will we see of him? What do you want to see from the offensive line in the early phases of the preseason, Cody?
Man, some of the faces I'm really excited about seeing are the two pass rushers that we drafted, Brian Burns and Christian Miller. Specifically Christian Miller, because if you like me and you've been following.
Wait, we're on the offensive line. I thought we were talking offensive line.
That is right. You did say that.
Yeah.
I had a brain fart.
We already
but
talked
it's okay.
about Brian Burns. Let's go
Hey,
back.
but I'm still excited to see him, though.
Okay. Back to the offensive line.
I fucked up. You caught me. But yeah, the offensive line. Okay, this is the part that I'm kind of worried about, to be honest. And it's not a big worry, but right now, I think the biggest question mark is the left side of that offensive line. It's left tackle and left guard. Because as of right now, and I believe you and I talked about this the last time we were on last Tuesday, is that if Darrell Williams is at left tackle, does that mean Pilardi is left guard? Does that mean Van Roten is left guard? Apparently, they have a lot of trust in him to be able to do that. I want to see if Greg Little is going to be able to stand out and look like a player that's going to be able to actually pass protect for Cam Newton. And even more specific, I want to see my man Greg run block, because in the Ole Miss offense, that's something that he just wasn't asked to do very much. And if you remember, after he was drafted, there was that whole he's not mean enough, he's not big enough, he's not going to finish you and throw you into the dirt. I'm just interested to see what kind of strides he's made going forward while he's been with the Panthers. Daly is another one. Dennis Daly from fake USC, South Carolina. Sorry, B. Amos. There's a few pieces on the offensive line that I'm interested to see how they perform. But at the same time, I kind of echo your sentiment, is that I don't want to see a ton of starters right now. It's too early. I'm interested to see how many reps the ones end up getting, because I'm hoping that it's not going to be much. But left side.
We do need to see Darrell Williams at game speed. I think what we're going to see a lot of is Greg Little, like you said, is I think they want to give him a lot of reps, because while Darrell Williams is leading at left tackle, we have no idea what he can do at that position for the long term. So you better have a guy that you have a little that can come in maybe if you need be. He's also had problems with injuries. So we need Greg Little to learn quickly. We'll be interested seeing if Darrell Williams is quick enough to play left tackle. And like you said, will it be a Van Roten who steps in at guard? Will they try to do some other things? And look, there's been a lot of talk throughout camp is that the offensive linemen have been going down. Like, I mean, you've heard tweets about them like throwing up or overheating and stuff. And so while the Panthers, I think, have a vision of what they want the starting line to be, is that they're not really sure who the guys behind that and what order they will be in. So that leads us to the kind of two other things to talk about in relation to the offensive line is what will we see at running back and quarterback, right? Christian McCaffrey, we know, will be on the field for every possible snap in every possible universe, hopefully just not tomorrow's universe. But, man, Cameron Artis-Payne is listed as second on the depth chart. Then you've heard about Holyfield throwing punches in camp. At least they say he's been a force down on the goal line. And we want to know about Jordan Scarlett. Is Jordan Scarlett a go? Joey, I was asking, is everything okay with him? I haven't heard much on that front. What do you want to see from that running back core? What do you expect to see? And then let's talk about those quarterbacks.
So, everybody kind of knows that I've been doing a lot of scouting. I'm still working for Draft Tech. I love college football, as you all already know. So I'm into it. And Elijah Holyfield was a player that I actually watched a lot of film on. And people kind of made a big deal out of his combine performance because he ran really slow, like a 4.8 something. He's not a fast guy, but, man, I was surprised at his ability to cut. his ability to stop on a dime, his body control. I think Holyfield is really going to surprise people in a real big way. And I know Jordan Scarlett was drafted ahead of him, but I know that he's been dealing with some injury. So that's
Scott Thomas.
Yeah. So in my mind, this is a big night for your boy Cameron Artis-Payne to show, hey man, signed a 1-year deal. Yeah, continue to be the best running back the Panthers have ever had.
That never plays.
Yeah, that never plays. So
he's done good in the preseason before. All right, we're gonna come back. Let's come back to quarterbacks in just a moment. Let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls and see where they take us and see if
let's do it.
So we don't double talk.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yo, it's your boy D. Carey calling out of Richmond, Virginia. What's up, Tony? What up, Cody? Love the show. I listen to it every Wednesday in my work truck.
Word.
I haven't called since I kind of went on a F-bomb tirade when Devin Funches on that Detroit game. So I haven't called
I think I remember you, man.
Yeah, I'm not trying to respond to any callers from last week, but the guy that kind of said he thinks Cam isn't as focused and yada yada yada. And in all honesty, a lot of people talk junk about Cam, but we haven't been the most stable franchise first and foremost. And like Cam is I would say one of the greatest players to come play for us and give us his all. But in all actuality, like, look at how the front office and everything has kind of been ran prior to David Tepper coming.
What a great
everybody talks about consistency, but look how stuff was being handled when Jerry Richardson was here and he was the owner of the team. And Cam is kind of being more authentic and more of himself now ever since David Tepper has been here, from the simple fact.
I think we got part 2 of this call.
Yeah,
but here we go. Dude, what an excellent point. We tried to talk about this when several months ago or over a year ago when the Panthers crumbled when Jerry Richards sold the team in shame. But is that for so long this kind of mantra or this presentation of a team that was so clean cut was presented to us, but it has been it was secretly a damn circus in the background, from Jerry Richardson and the issues there, from payouts to this, to Tom Morrison, the president, leaving, getting out early on that. Then you get the David Gettleman firing right before. There hasn't been it's not like Cam has been a weakness on the team. Thank God he persevered through half of this crap.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
It's really hilarious, man. And especially after people, kind of look and see what Cam is like behind the scenes and just how he is with the fans. I don't know, man. When people say that,
aren't giving him enough credit, to be honest, I think is what the caller is saying, is like, with all of that, if he was so fragile or such a liability, this would have been the place for it to show. And he has been actually a model for our team.
No, he really has. I mean, he's been fantastic for this football team. He's been the beginning, the middle, and the end of our offense. He's been a leader the entire time. I mean, he's had to work with an offense that was built for him, yet wasn't built for him to thrive. It's so dumb, man. A lot of the offensive firepower that we've had on the team has pretty much been Cam Newton, and Cam Newton elevating the play of everybody else. So
we've been able to get away with it. That's why we've been able to have Byron Bell at left tackle, then Michael Orr, then Matt Khalil. By the way, I don't know if you've seen, but Matt Khalil is just getting made fun of in Houston.
Oh,
God.
Did you see that clip? I think, you were tagged in it too, or you saw it too. Dude, Rashawn Garrett is just blowing up Matt Khalil over in Houston.
Yeah, just a
Lord.
total wuss. And then I saw J.J. Watt do it as well. Just awful. All right, let's see if this is part 2 of the call.
Yo, what's up, C3? D. Carey calling out of Richmond, Virginia. I just wanted to, shed light on the whole people talking junk about Cam. And it kind of is very unfair that people talk junk about Cam, just from the simple fact that with Jerry Richardson, how he was running the team and everything that was going on, we weren't consistent from the top, from the head of the team. So people, would talk junk and blame stuff on Cam, how he's inconsistent and how he's not focused and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you had a owner that was kind of not letting Cam be who he really is, as the person that we're seeing in these last year and a half since David Tepper's been here. He's letting Cam's personality come out even more. Hell, was it when Jerry Richardson was here, Cam couldn't get a tattoo, Cam couldn't do this and that. And now you see Cam is letting his hair grow, like dreads, and he got slugs in his mouth. But if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like, gold teeth or whatever. He has some of those in his mouth. It's like he's let his Atlanta personality and his whole self, David Tepper is allowing that and not making Cam be like, look, you have to be a good old boy quarterback and yada. Like, man, look, scratch that. Cam can be his best Cam when you allow him to be himself, his authentic, genuine self. And that's what I see with David Tepper allowing Cam to be himself. Like, I think the MVP really is David Tepper, because it's like the whole team, it's like a different vibe. So, me personally, all that Cam hate, if you're a Panther fan, you should not be talking shit about Cam. Personally, but, that's my guy. I love Cam. That's my quarterback. So
you're our guy. You are our
definitely
guy,
big
bro.
ups to David Tepper, and I feel as if our Carolina Panthers can go all the way this year and hell be even better than we were in the Super Bowl year. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. And I'll call again next week or whatever. I definitely want to try to catch a live show with you guys on Tuesday, but good job, Tony and Cody, on all the subjects and everything y'all talk about, holding it down for us Panthers fans. Keep
Appreciate
pounding.
you, brother.
Thank you for the call. The number's 252-228-5098, and a lot of good points there to follow up. Another one, though, that I think is, to me, I didn't realize how poorly and bland, how bad of a franchise we were, how poorly we were run. Like, this guy is coming in, David Tepper's coming in, and all of a sudden you're seeing dramatic changes in media presentation, the deals, like the business side of football, which is like, how do we make the brand of the Panthers more continually a better thing, the experience better, all of this reach more people. He's ambitious, and it kind of just shows you, like, gosh, how just feet stuck in the mud we were for so long.
Yeah, for a real long time. And then, as the caller said, Jerry Richardson, telling Cam Newton can't pierce his ears, can't get tattoos. Like, it really is like on some slave owner mentality shit. Like, who cares, man? I don't know. I'm very happy that David Tepper is the new big cat in town. I think he's got some big things in store. But
one of the things he's been talking about this week is how he would like to have a new stadium with a retractable roof. And I thought this was awesome. Is that, boy, he knows how to throw a subtle sucker punch or in the media. They said somebody was asking him about attendance at FanFest. He said, "Man, I bet you a lot more people would be here if I had a roof." Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like he knows. Gosh, just a little salt. Yeah, a little jab there. All right, let's move on to the next call. See what we got. The number's 252-228-5098.
C3, it's your boy J-Dub.
What?
J-Dub
back on
Way
the
too
line.
long, but we're not going to go into all that.
Where you been?
And we just got Trey Boston.
Yes, we
This
did.
brings up a lot of different things for me, knowing our team and how we roll and what's going on. Like, we all thought Rashad Golden was going to be it, but obviously they're kind of scared enough that we're bringing a guy that knows our way and does what he does, and like, if we have to have it, he'll be there. If none of the other, like, the entire nation knows we're in a win now mode, they should know now. Like, we've already been in a win now mode on the moves and things we have done this year. We're in a win now mode. Our window is only open as little as they say it is, but we need to have this
I feel like J-Dub's like
spot
watching
taken care
me
of, so we got another guy just to make sure it is. Like, free safety was taken care of. We tried out a bunch of people, and guess what? It didn't work out, so we got Trey Boston. I didn't want Trey Boston back. I really didn't want this move. But at this point in the season, it makes more sense than if we got him like a couple months ago when everyone wanted him. It makes more sense to have him now if we actually need it. I mean, if we actually need it, get somebody.
Which we
get
do.
somebody who already knows us, knows our Panther way.
Which we should have probably drafted.
Like, I didn't want him before, but as it got to this point, they knew they needed him. They got him. I mean, I'm pretty sure it didn't cost too much. We just need to do our thing. I actually
It's like
this
B. Amos says
I
J-Dub
didn't
sounds
want
like he's in
Boston
his
back,
bed
but
with the candles lit, like
at the same time,
a seance in it.
if we needed him, that's why they got him. At least it's something. It's something. It's taking care of that spot just in case. Or maybe you start, who knows. Before that, we didn't need it, and now we think we do.
Yeah.
All right.
Figure how it goes. I love you guys. Panthers all day. And from your boy, Joshua Charles DeBro, J-Dub, y'all keep pounding.
He went full.
J-Dub.
Yeah. What a deep
J-Dub.
voice he got. Kid D says Barry White. I like this.
Yeah,
is Cam Newton put out and said this week we're past due. North Carolina and South Carolina having something to brag about. We're going to start by perfecting ourselves and perfecting the things we can control. We want this division back. And I think J-Dub is the time is now, right? The time is always now. So thanks for the call, J-Dub. Glad to have you back in the C3 Panthers podcast, or I know you're excited back for the season. Numbers 252-228-5098.
C3, this is Ryan from Tucson, Arizona. And I'm getting my Madden on because, you know, it's like the start of preseason. And I have to say that the first preseason game was absolutely horrible. And it was a good thing it was the Falcons too, which makes it somewhat pleasurable to watch the Falcons actually play that bad, even though it was a bunch of backups. But I was looking at the schedule, this upcoming schedule, and I kind of looked at the list of starting quarterbacks that the Panthers defense is going to have to face. And I came across Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Marcus Mariota. That's a total of 13 games. Now, I know a couple of those names aren't exactly the scariest in the league, but they're still decent quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what type of defense and how the defense is actually going to handle these starting quarterbacks. And the one thing I want to leave with you guys, I'm curious, is what is the one thing that you're looking forward to seeing this season? I'm looking forward to seeing Brian Burns sack a quarterback and straight up do a Spider-Man pose. That would be savage, especially if he gets like a safety or something. Love the show.
Awesome.
Keep doing what you guys are doing. I'll call next week.
I want to see this. What am I looking forward to seeing? I'm seeing for the Panthers to get over 50 sacks this season. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I think that's a reasonable goal. I think that with the talent that we have on our team, that's reasonable. Ryan brings up some good points in that. We face a lot of really talented quarterbacks,
especially in the back end of the schedule too.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, we have a nasty 1-2 punch at the beginning of the season, or in the earlier half of the season. We're on the road against Kyler Murray and then Deshaun Watson. I'm telling you, man, our defense is going to be tested a lot earlier than people think. And that Rams game, they have a high-powered offense. Our defense is going to be put to the test very, very early on. So I don't think you're going to have to wait too long to know if this Panthers defense is the real deal or not. So I'm pumped.
So I think, to me, I was going to bring this up too, is I'm interested in this secondary, man. I'm interested in how Bradbury will look in a contract year, how Dante Jackson continues to progress. I think he can become what I hope he becomes in like a Deion Sanders-like player. And I want to see if Eric Reed can be what we think he is, right? Rather than just saying, just going off of reputation alone and him coming in on short notice last year. I'd like to see him be one of the best safeties in the league. Oh, there's so many storylines we've been going through. Last call for the night. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hi, guys. Rich in England. Roster construction. So the depth chart came out this week. I went through it and I underlined all the people that I thought were certainties, and that came out to 42. I did post it on Twitter, but I think I only put 3 wide receivers in. I put in obviously Curtis Moore and Jarius Wright. So there's going to be 3 more receivers there, and probably one of them's going to have to return kicks or punts. I've only put CMC in as a running back. I don't know what they're going to do.
That's a good
My
question.
thoughts are there's going to be some big names we're cutting. I don't see how we can't. I mean, there's some people that, horrible feeling. Well, I spoke about it last week with the defensive ends, but seeing F.A. Abada at third stringer on the DE as opposed to outside linebacker, I mean, I know that you're coming to London, but whether he sticks to the team, I don't know. I think a big name wide receiver. I know Torrey Smith's the favourite, but he's made some good catches. I don't know. There's going to be some shocks. I think. I think I only put 4 defensive linemen in the first 3 plus my man Kyle Love, but that left off Abada, Cox, Butler. What if those 3 go
Haynes, Marquise
in? I
Haynes.
know. Huge holes. Don't know. Anyway, hopefully you'll be discussing that tonight. There's a great Twitter meme of a dog not catching a frisbee going round as Devin Funchess last year. Actually, I wanted to mention Funchess. I don't know how much time I've got. Very interesting from the All or Nothing. He's definitely from a place that not many of us know. I think that was quite obvious. The Panthers are a fairly cerebral team. And I don't think Funchess ever really fit, and I don't mean that in a nasty way, but that certainly seemed to look quite obvious when you consider how Greg and Luke and all those guys act. Taylor Moton's got a master's degree and all the rest of it. Don't know if Funch ever really fit. Eric Reed is extremely considered, I think is a good way to describe Eric. Anyway, I think him. Oh, and Matt Khalil. Anyway,
That's awesome.
I love that.
Right before the time cuts him off, he's like, "Oh yeah." So I think one of the look, if you look at this, is there's guys like Corn Elder up there, Rashawn Golden. Are they on the bubble, or which one of those guys are on the bubble? How does Marquise Haynes is listed behind Bruce Irvin? So It goes Bruce Irvin on the right outside linebacker position, number 1. Marquise Haynes, number 2. Christian Miller, number 3. On the left side, it's Mario Addison, Brian Burns, Sloan Tahume. I don't know who that is. So I think you're going to keep out of those. I mean, I think the question is Marquise Haynes a guy that still has a place on this team? I think he fits into this scheme, but the question is, we got a lot of names there, right? A lot of names.
Yeah.
It looks like, hey, Vernon Butler will make this team, though. I was worried about him going into this season.
Yeah, I mean, he'll make the football team, but I don't know. I certainly don't hold out any hope that he's going to turn it on and actually be something meaningful in the final year of his contract.
What about Reggie Bonifant? That's another name we haven't talked about at the running back position. Is that might be somebody that gets some significant time on tomorrow's game. And then I think there's another thing too, Cody, is how many quarterbacks do we keep in this system? You know, when you're talking about drafting Greer, right? Cam Newton, Kyle Allen, Will Greer, Taylor Heineke. Obviously, one of those is Taylor Heineke seems like the odd man out. Kyle Allen listed behind Cam Newton. But, you know, I'm kind of interested in us not keeping 3. We shouldn't be keeping 3 quarterbacks.
No, and we're one of the teams that has normally done that. I mean, we kept Derek Anderson for a long time.
And then we had, what's his name, that played special teams, but what was his name? What was his name? The guy that everybody loved that could play wide receiver, that could do anything.
Chat room, please help us. Our brains fart all the time. No one's brains farts more than
kept 3 quarterbacks out of necessity a lot of those times, right? Is that, for instance, last year, we didn't have an answer at backup, so we had to keep 2, right? Now I think we have a clear plan of what we want it to look like. Cam Newton at the helm, 1 backup. We don't have enough roster spots, I think, to keep these guys beyond that.
Joe Webb. Brother Herbert with the save. Thanks, you man. Listen, I mean, Joe, I don't know. I think Taylor Heineke, as you said, he's going to be the odd man out. I think, especially after losing a 3rd-round pick on Will Greer, him being from the area, Will Greer has looked good in practice. That's someone else I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see this backup quarterback competition that we have going on, and I'm excited to see if maybe one of them could end up being the type of player that we might be able to trade down the road for the right price if they do the right thing. We might have another Jimmy Garoppolo situation on our hands with Will Greer, or maybe even Kyle Allen. So I do not think that we're going to. I don't think we're definitely not saving 4, but I do foresee a scenario where Allen and Will Greer are on the team.
I say boo to that. Boo to that. I don't want that to happen. All right, so we'll be watching to see how a lot of it will be determined by how fast or slow the game looks to Will Greer, something that we should get to see plenty of time. You can expect Kyle Allen to start, Will Greer to get significant time in the 2nd and 3rd, and then bring in Taylor Heineke for some time there. And I don't expect us playing Cam until the 3rd game, and that would be it, and I would be happy with that. So, more questions there. I think last question.
Let's do this real quick. Who do you think will be the backup before the end of preseason? Not having seen any football yet, who do you think is going to be number 2 behind Cam?
I'm going to say Will Greer. Will Greer, we just commit to it, keep 2. That's it. I think. And now, question for you guys, and then we'll kind of get on out of here towards the end. We've taken care of the calls. It's been a good show tonight. People, like they said, the chat room's lit. People had some C3 withdrawals last night. Whose stock climbs and falls in this preseason game tomorrow? For me, the climber, right, is not tomorrow night. I think it's going to be later in, and this is kind of a cop-out. But I want to see Brian Burns' stock climb in the preseason. I think Golden's stock continues to fall in this preseason right now.
Yeah, I think Golden's stock is definitely still falling. Listen, this is the easiest answer in the world, but I don't give a damn, man. Curtis Samuel, to me, is man. Just watching these players are keeping me up at night, man.
Poised to be a superstar. It looks like.
Yeah, poised to be a superstar, and they've really made a good connection early on in training camp. And then we have this gym. So something we haven't talked about yet is Fan Fest. And listen, man, look how far this ball travels. If you're watching on YouTube, Cam Newton just launching off.
Haven't the spirals looked so pretty this year?
Look, there's almost no wiggle to the football.
You've said that each week too.
Yeah, there is no wiggle to the football. It's a tight motion, tight spiral. And listen, when you're a receiver, it makes the ball that much easier to catch when there isn't a ton of wobble on the football. That makes Curtis's job so easy. DJ Moore's job so easy. Listen, I believe I did it already, but I'm going to come out and say it, man. Curtis Samuel, that's wide receiver number 1. I feel this year is going to prove it. That is our best route runner on the team, the best speed receiver on the football team. And I'm excited for DJ Moore also. That doesn't mean I don't believe in DJ Moore, but especially after you see stuff like this right here. This came from camp. Again, another pretty-ass spiral. And DJ Moore just all the reports is that everything that you throw at DJ Moore,
he's catching.
He comes down with the football.
Good.
Comes down with the football. And right now we have a dynamic duo at the receiver position that we haven't had in a while. So
and then you throw in Christian McCaffrey. You got 3 parts that just seemingly could cause nightmares for people. Ian Thomas. That's what we also want to see. I want to see Ian Thomas. We haven't heard a lot because it, kind of been nicked up throughout so far preseason. So we'll get back to you guys after the preseason game. Maybe we can we'll be back next Tuesday, obviously, and then there's going to be a lot of cool stuff to talk about in the coming days. Let's finish up, Cody, and get on out of here. Let's ice some fools up, man.
Let's do it, man.
There's a lot of material out there, as usual. You can go from. Did you hear about the Antonio Brown mess? What's up?
I did.
I watched Hard Knocks today. One of the great. You can watch Hard Knocks on NFL.com. And I think you can get it if you got the Game Pass. One of the best lines ever today is I was listening to it, and they said, perhaps the most. What was it? Perhaps the most. Under. God, what was the phrasing? It was perhaps the most watched player, the person under the most scrutiny. That's what it was. Perhaps the player under the most scrutiny is Richie Incognito. And I just thought, man, the irony of this, your name being Incognito and you being the opposite of Incognito here. Love that. But Antonio Brown, really, to me, you know what, is that I actually kind of like him. He seems like a pretty simple dude in some ways, but he's likable in those videos and in Hard Knocks, but dealing with some foot issues. So kind of this, Rashard Golden, not Rashard Golden, who was that guy? Brashard Breeland-esque to me. These weird foot problems hampering him. What's going on with Antonio Brown before he iced people up? Because some people said it's because he got iced up.
So, okay, get this. They're saying that he had while doing a cryotherapy, and I believe he was in France at the time, there was something that went wrong with the machine, and it caused what they say to be frostbite on the bottom of his foot. Now, I was telling you, I was reading an article before that it wasn't exactly hypothermia or frostbite, but it was something similar to it. But get this. So if for whatever reason Antonio Brown is not able to play this season because of it, which, by the way, they're not saying that it's that bad. There's no indication that he won't play, but they're saying that if he doesn't play because of it, there's a clause in the contract that deems that to be a non-football related injury. So the Raiders would not have to pay him.
Oh, man.
They wouldn't have to pay him if he wasn't able to play because of that injury at a cryotherapy center in France. So, it's been an ongoing thing, and it's sounding pretty stupid day by day.
Yeah. There was another one. I had another. I thought I hate Charlie Casserole. Charlie Casserole. I was watching the Hall of Fame game, and Ed Reed said it's amazing some of these guys because he met with the Texans, and Casserole did not draft him. Ed Reed goes on to be like the greatest safety in the history of football. And Ed Reed took a shot at him, and he was like, I don't know how these guys still have jobs as analysts and this and that in football. I love that. But for me, my ice up pick this week goes, can you pull up my little caption here? Is my ice up pick goes to the people that refuse to give this man a passport. His name is Kenny fucking Ard. Kenny fucking Ard.
Fucking Ard, Tony.
Fucking Ard. Kenny fucking Ard. Or Kenny fucking Ard.
You might want to explain for the people that are just listening.
Yeah. Okay. So an ex-soldier from the UK, his name was Kenny Kennard. Had some fun with his name in 2016, legally changed his name by adding an FU dash and hyphenating his last name Fukinard or Fuckinard. Anyway, is that right now his legal name is Kenny Fuckinard. And you know what? I'll tell you this, Cody. You know what's fucking hard? Him getting a passport, because they have denied him access to a passport because they say his surname may cause offense throughout the world. So I say ice up, give this man a break, and give him a passport. Kenny Fukinard, you a fucking idiot, but still you deserve a passport. See you later. Ice up.
Ice up to you. Yeah. So, okay. I'm about to. And I actually think I'm gonna one up you. I'm gonna be honest. Listen, make sure that if ever you're in a situation where you need someone to help you piss in the cup, so that way you can pass a piss test, do me a favor and make sure that, one, it's not a girl, and two, that the girl
can catch you that way.
Girl isn't pregnant. So get this. It's not showing up. I'll have to grab another tweet. But there is a football player that went to the state of Ohio, and he ended up wanting to play in Croatia or one of these Middle Eastern or one of these countries for the FIBA. And he ended up getting his girlfriend to submit a urine sample for him to pass his drug test, until he realized that the drug test came back that he was pregnant. and he was released.
You, sir, are the father and the mother.
Yeah, you're the father and the mother. So you didn't test positive for steroids, but you have a bun in the oven, sir. I don't know if you knew that or not. So to DJ Cooper, who definitely just went too far. And also, by the way, it was his girlfriend that submitted the urine sample. So this is how he found out that he was a father. So,
gosh, let me ask you this, Cody. What is so fucking hard about getting past the drug test?
You know what's fucking hard? Staying sober is fucking hard. I'll tell you that.
Hey.
Oh my good Lord.
So to this player, what do you need to tell him?
Player, to BJ Cooper, I'm saying ice up, son.
All right.
Ice up. Do better.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast.
And congratulations. He's going to be a father.
Yeah, congratulations. Ice up. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Cody, where can they get after you?
At CODYLAC, Cody Lack on Twitter. Hit me up. It's football season, especially during the game tomorrow. If you tweet at me with questions or thoughts or comments, I'll respond to you, man. I'm going to be on Twitter and watching the football game, putting some of my thoughts down. I'm excited. Panthers football tomorrow, people.
It's wonderful.
Panthers football. I'm stoked. I'm pumped.
I'm fucking hard about it.
I'm fucking hard, Tony Dunn.
All right. Shout out to the chat room. Thanks, guys. You guys have been great. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. You can email the show, CarolinaCatChronicles@gmail. Call in 252-228-5098. Call in after the dang preseason game. Get the calls in before Tuesday because we'll have a great show, a lot of content on Tuesday. I'm going to try to go track down Marcel Louis-Jacques because he's now covering the Bills. We play them next week. Will be our week 2 game. So tons to talk about, tons more to talk about. We're excited. 32 days till real football, but we'll take fake football tomorrow. And until then, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Go Panthers.
What's so fucking hard about that?
Fucking hard.